so overly dramatic. So, week 3 is over. We're moving towards week 4. Sorry I couldn't get a video to you guys last week. I was hella busy. Hopefully you guys saw the power rankings that I put in the message board. I think they're pretty self-explanatory, but they're only going to get better going forward. And hopefully I'll have a video for that. So we'll go through the matchups, talk about a trade, and what I think is going to happen going forward. So in this matchup, we had the Huevos losing to Will Forks Chode. Both teams looked good coming in. Andrew Luck bounced back this game, even though he threw a couple interceptions. He did well from a fantasy perspective. Antonio Brown's consistent as always. Keenan Allen bounced back, 2 touchdowns. Tavius Murray, he's now in the top 10 in terms of running backs. Alfred Morris didn't do much, and he had some help from the Buffalo D. As for the Huevos, Phillip Rivers didn't have a very good game, even though his receivers did. Julio Jones continues to be the top wide receiver in the league. Hopkins did good, but the running backs where he fell short. Hill hasn't really done anything, and Yeldon's been pretty garbage. His tight end didn't do much either. So the Huevos falls to 1-2. Will Forks Chode now 2-1. This was a close game, battle of the 2 defeated teams. I think 2 Live Jew is actually the best 0-3 team I've ever seen. But I managed to squeak out a win. His kicker needed to put up 10 points. He put up 8. Russell Wilson did okay. Demaryius Thomas did okay. Stevie Johnson actually had an off week. He's been good for me, though. Le'Veon Bell was back. That's what I needed. I suffered through those first 2 weeks. And Lewis was a good pickup from New England. As for the 2 Live Jew, none of his guys really did too poorly, but Marshawn Lynch was hurt. He probably should have started a different running back. And Greg Olsen put up 25 points. He was the highest scorer for the 2 Live Jew. But unfortunately, the 2 Live Jew falls to 0-3. This week's battle of 2 undefeated teams, the Rams Rule, took on my #1 power ranking Dingleberries, and they fell terribly short. Roethlisberger went down with an injury, so now the Rams Rule have suffered injuries to Dez Bryant, T.Y. Hilton. Oh, God, what's happening to this team? They picked up Moncrief to replace T.Y., put up some points for him. Baldwin shows why you shouldn't pick up Seattle wide receivers. Gordon's not very good. C.J. Anderson is garbage. Kelsey is the only good player on his team, I think, at this point. Rams Rule are a very shaky 2-1. As for the Dingleberries, Matty Ice continues to be consistent. Macklin got a first receiving touchdown for a Kansas City wide receiver in a really long time. His running backs weren't very good. At least he was battling some injuries. Reed for Washington has been solid. Cobb made up for the difference in points with 28 points, and the Denver D continues to be very good. Now this right here, this was a battle worthy of overly dramatic classical music. Where's the beat? Brady just beating Greg's splendid team. Tom Brady putting up another monster game. A.J. Green, 34 points. He had a ton of yards, too. Brandon Marshall's been surprisingly good, and Adrian Peterson bounced back. Looks like his old self. Forsett was kind of disappointing. The Philadelphia D looked very good against the Jets. As for Greg's splendid team, Aaron Rodgers went freaking crazy and got 34 points. Matthews kind of disappointing. Devontae Adams went down with an injury. Jamal Charles, 26 points. Greg's splendid team was actually down by a lot, but if it wasn't for Rodgers and Jamal Charles, the Arizona D would be the only people really helping them out. So both these teams are now 2-1, but they're definitely still at the top of the power rankings after putting up that many points. Save the best for last here. In this monster performance by Raging Red Rice, 174 points. This is crazy against With My Nipples. Just an absolute slaughter. With My Nipples, a disappointing performance with pretty much all of his players, except for Frank Gore, who's been surprisingly good, and Gronkowski's been consistent. Looks like With My Nipples getting rid of Teddy Bridgewater. I'll get into that trade a little bit later. As for Raging Ray Rice, Carson Palmer's been a great pickup for him so far. 19 points. Odell Beckham putting up 13. And Larry Fitzgerald looks like in his old self again this year with 25. He's happy to have Palmer back. McCoy kind of meh. Chris Johnson, I'm at a loss. 27 points from this guy. I thought his legs stopped working. Jimmy Graham looking like himself again. He's got Drew Brees throwing to him. And the rest of his team is just, really consistent. So Raging Ray is now 2-1, and unfortunately, With My Nipples falls to 0-3, and he's now in last place. So we had our first trade this week. Will Forks Chode traded away Andrew Luck and Martavis Bryant to With My Nipples for Arian Foster. So I think this was a beneficial trade for both sides. With My Nipples needed a quarterback because Drew Brees is down right now. Wilforks Chode could afford to trade away Andrew Luck because he has Cam Newton on his bench, and Cam's been doing pretty well this season. Martavis Bryant's coming back from suspension week 5, and with my nipples needs some wide receivers. Aaron Foster's coming back from his injury and could be playing as soon as next week. And Wilforks Chode right now could definitely use another running back because after his best running back, his next best are Alfred Morris and Amir Abdullah. So Aaron Foster will definitely help him out if he can stay healthy. So all in all, I think this was a good trade. So I think at this point we're seeing what the top teams are looking like, and I'd say it's definitely Dingleberry's, Where's to Beat Brady, Raging Ray Rice, and Greg's Splendid team. And I'm kind of stuck in the bottom here. But you know what? 6 teams make the playoffs, so nobody's really out of it yet. You just got to kind of get there. As for dues, Dad, Austin, Kevin, Greg, and Ryan, you guys still owe me money. Yackle has now paid his debts. I think Brian went over there and attacked him with a golf club or something. I'm not really clear on the details, but I got my money, so I'm happy. All right, guys, good luck in week 4, and post on the message board if you want to say anything.